Hello, my name is Jocelyn Pacheco, and I am majoring into becoming a mod severe ed specialist, a special education teacher. I have always wanted to work in the special ed department. Ever since I was in high school, I used to volunteer and help out in the special ed classrooms, and I think that's kind of where I found that's what I wanted to do. I currently am 24 and I work at a school district. I work at a school district since I graduated high school in 2020. As a paraeducator, and I've loved it. I've worked in mild mod before, and mod severe is currently where I'm at. I think mod severe was always where I wanted to be. I love to keep moving. I love to be on my feet. I love the behaviors. I love to help other kids, and I know it's kind of hard for them to express themselves. That's why I want to become an ed specialist and have my own classroom soon, hopefully. So the purpose of this video is for my class, and it is to talk about the dispositions that I think mean a lot to becoming a first-year teacher. Speaking as for myself, to become a first-year teacher, I feel that you have to have compassion in yourself. I feel like that's a really big one, and compassion for your students. That means like love all your students equally and really, really love what you do. I feel like if you don't enjoy what you're doing, then it's not a place for you, because there's many teachers out there who you can tell right away that have a lot of love for what they're doing and their major, and you can just tell the way that they greet the kids, the way that they greet everybody. They just seem like they're happy in their place. So that's a really big one. I feel like you really need to be liking what you're doing and what you're studying for. That's something really easy for me because I've always known that I wanted to become an ed specialist. So I feel like I do have a lot of compassion with myself and the way that I present myself to students, especially since I worked at a school for many, many years. It's kind of been one of my favorite things to do, and I tend to really enjoy it. So that's one of my biggest ones. Another one that I would say is professional conduct, because you really want to make sure that you're professional in the way that you talk to students and that you talk to parents. I've learned this a lot recently, even like working with like parents and stuff, is the way that you make a comment, or the way that you, for example, if they ask you like, how was so-and-so's day in school, you want to make sure you're answering professionally, because that kind of shows a lot about yourself and how you're really taking your job seriously. And you don't want to say like, oh, well, they had an okay day, because it doesn't really seem like you're professional. So you want to go in depth and say, so-and-so had a really good day, but we did have behaviors towards the end of the day, but that was because so-and-so that happened. And I feel like if you're really explaining yourself, that shows how much you really want to be there. So I feel like those are my two things that you really need to know and do to become a first year teacher, and that's what I would begin with. I think those are my top choices, is what I would choose. And the other question is, what dispositions do you need to work on before you enter? I think what I need to work on is, there's a lot, because I feel like there's so many on the list. There's a whole bunch of things on the list that you can choose from. I have them right here, so give me, I need to work on like my high expectations. That's one of them that I will completely agree on, is because I do have high expectations for everybody and for my students, but it's also a working point. So you want to make sure that, yes, you're setting up high standards for your students and wanting them to succeed, but you also have to understand that everybody grows at a different rate and a different speed. So your expectations might not be equal to everybody else, because some people can take longer to reach their goal than other people. So that's one of the things I do want to work on. But I'm very excited to hopefully very soon become an ed specialist and have my own classroom. It's been one of my dreams to be a teacher and have, my students. I work with kids on wheelchairs, with feeding tubes, with really high behaviors. I'm actually a one-on-one to one of my students right now that I work with. She has really high behaviors, a lot of hitting, a lot of biting. So I'm really excited to have my own classroom and finally get to be, my own classroom. Thank you.